Hello and welcome to Seven Story Publishing's podcast. I am Lisa Jakovsky with Carmen Norris, our featured author today. How are you doing, Carmen?
Good. So happy to be doing this with you. How are you, Lisa?
I am great. I'm so glad you could be here with us today. Can you tell us about your book and your inspiration for it, please?
Yeah, definitely. It actually just published today. I'm so excited. It's called You Can't See Me, and it is about a woman named Adelaide who has just started a new life and got a new job, making really good friends. And then she starts being stalked by someone that she can't prove exists. So the book is just about that happening and like how it affects her friendships and her trying to find out who this mystery person is.
Oh my God, that's crazy. How did you come up with that?
Um, I wanted to write a story. So in it, the stalker basically kind of sets her up and starts stalking her friends, but makes it seem as if it's her. So I wanted to do something where it was like you don't really know. Do you know? Like, is this like an unreliable narrator? Can you trust them? Should you believe them? Should you not? I kind of wanted to play around with that, and I was this kind of popped into my head, and I was like, oh, that works perfectly.
I love it. That's amazing. Have you always wanted to be an author?
Since I was a kid, I guess my thing is I've always wanted to write stories. And
Uh-huh.
it was just like any kind of story I would just be interested in. And then as I got like into my teens and everything, I was like, books is definitely gonna be one of those things.
That's amazing. Is this what you do full time then? And it was just published? So it was just published, or did you just receive the physical copy?
So it was just so it went live today. And then I got physical
Wow.
copies, like my big box like last week. So I was really excited.
Oh my
Yeah. So
God.
yeah, my second
Congrats.
was out. I was like, oh, I keep doing it. I love this.
Huge congrats. That is literally the best
Yeah.
feeling as an author is that unboxing. And I don't know about you, but I walk around with my books for like a week.
Yes, I want to like I have like little I don't know what you call them, like little like cloth folios that I'll like stick them in because my purse will destroy them otherwise. So yeah.
Amazing. That's literally the best feeling in the world. Huge congrats. I'm so excited for you. Was this your first book?
I know my first one was The Offer. It came out
Mm.
last July. And that one's about three friends that have to work for a kidnapper because they were blackmailed for murder.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh, you really like writing these dark stories. This is my type of genre, though. This is amazing. Oh my goodness. How do you pull and try to get creative for stories that are dark like that? I'm interested.
For me, I like kind of taking things that feel lighter and finding like a darker twist for them. Like for The Offer, I'm like, they're just really good friends, they're moms, they're wives. And I'm like, okay, but what really messed up thing could happen to like anybody could get into? So it just starts off like so innocent and you just see them getting like wrapped up even more. So I kind of just like that little twist on things.
I love that. And I kind of feel like you draw to it because it's not like stuff we do in real life. Do you like the fact that you can write things that we can't necessarily do? Is that
Yeah.
fun?
Yeah, it is. Because I feel like you kind of get to live through them like from a safe distance. Like I don't have to risk going to jail. I just get to see what they do.
Exactly. So you kind of get to live vicariously through your characters.
Yeah. Yeah. They get to have the fun for me.
That's amazing. I love that. Are these books part of a series? Or are they standalone books?
Oh no, they're standalones. I don't think I'm gonna do any kind of series for a while. Just because I get like so shiny object syndrome where I'm like, no, what the fuck is on this other thing? So I'm like, I don't think I can stick with like a series long enough right now, just mentally.
I totally understand. How hard is it to balance writing with life?
Um, really, in a sense, I feel like it's really hard. But I think even like right now, like I still have like a day job, and like on my lunch break every day is when I write. I'll like eat my food so I don't like get it all over my notebooks. And then I'm like, so that's like the first 30 minutes. And the second 30 minutes is just me sitting there writing like crazy every day. So I'm like,
Oh.
it's difficult if I think about doing it at home where I don't really have much time. But I'm like, it's easy when I'm like, I have this time carved out. I can just use it for that. So you have to kind of find a way.
I totally agree, and it's something you enjoy doing, you love doing, so it's not
Yeah.
like you're spending your break doing any kind of extra
Yeah.
work. You
Exactly.
mentioned that you write are you writing, like, physically with pen and paper, or are you writing, like, on an iPad with the pen?
So I start off with pen and paper. I
I
just
love
feel
it.
like something about starting with that and then going to like typing, everything just flows better for me mentally. So right now it's pen and paper, and then when I get a little bit closer, I'll probably switch to my phone instead of like bringing my personal laptop, and then just like typing
I love that.
a lot.
I love hearing that somebody still likes to do pen and paper because it took
Yeah,
me years to switch to, my phone or the laptop because 'cause I've got an obsession with pens.
yeah, and it's so fun to collect. I'm like, I don't need to collect anything else with all the notebooks I have, but pens are it though.
Right? And I feel like nobody else gets it but other authors.
Yes, like we're the only ones that care about this stuff still.
I know, right? Like there's just something like it's almost therapeutic to write with a pen on paper. I feel like it's becoming like a lost art now.
It is, especially now that they don't have cursive anymore. I'm like,
Isn't that
yeah, it's
crazy?
so
Nobody
great.
learns cursive anymore. Like that's insane.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so
All
totally
the
crazy.
hours I had to spend trying to figure that out as a kid. And I was like, oh, we don't need that.
I know. My goodness. What is your favorite thing about being an author?
Um, I would say it's hearing like when somebody else reads a story, like getting all of those different interpretations I would have never thought of. Because it almost makes me look at my book in a different light. Like sometimes people will mention, like, I felt like when you wrote this part, you were really like saying this, and they have like these deep meanings, and I'm like, no, but I love
Really?
that.
Oh
It's
my
so
gosh,
much
I
fun when
never
you think
knew
that way.
that.
So yeah, that's like really exciting to me.
Do you ever get, like, inspired when other people say things like that to you about your stories?
I have. Okay. It doesn't really like inspire me as far as like another story, but it just makes me feel really good. And I actually have a Pinterest board that I keep like all those little comments just so like if I ever need to pick me up, I just go back and read those. So
That's actually really smart. Because
yeah.
can you use that for, like, inspiration down the road too? I never thought of doing that.
Yeah, it just yeah, it's always like a great pick me up. And then I have like a separate one of just like, oh, that made me think of this thing for an idea that's just like random ideas.
That is so smart. See, that's why I love this because I learn from fellow authors too. What is your thoughts on when you introduce yourself? Do you say you're an author or a writer? Do you think they're the same thing? Or is being an author different than a writer? What's your
Feel
opinion?
in a sense, I feel like when I think of author, I always think of books, even though there's other types of things you can author. So I feel like I typically say writer just because like I have fiction podcasts and I have my books, and I feel like that kind of says all of it. But I always write author. Like in my bios on social, I put author. But like when I'm talking to people, it's different. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess you still explain it. It's kind of the same, but yeah.
I love that way of looking at it because I sometimes struggle when people ask me about it too. I'm like, do I say author? Do I say writer? Is it the same thing? So I love your opinion about it and the way you talk about it. 'Cause I think that's actually really smart to say to people author, but then you can also say writer because it encompasses everything.
Yeah.
So you do more than writing too. You have a podcast as well.
Yeah, I write. So it's and that's kind of it's like really interesting. So I had another story. It was a YA story. And I was like, I want to like just kind of put this out more. And I started writing, like I was like, I want to turn it into a podcast. And I was because I was like trying to traditionally publish it and everything. And I was like, for now, I just want my story out there. and it turned into like its own thing, but it was just like another way for me to kind of keep writing and like doing something. And it was still just me writing, me reading it. I don't have like anybody else on it, but I was like, it's just a fun way for me to put my stories out. And I just kind of, yeah, I just went with it. I was like, okay, I'm a podcaster now.
That is so cool. So you're writing, are they short stories and reading them
Yeah,
on your podcast? Is that what
yeah.
it is?
hmm Almost
That
like
is
tiny
so
audiobooks
cool.
I just put on a podcast. Yeah.
I never thought about that. Are there other podcasts like that? Is how did you come up with this?
Um, I was listening to a lot of podcasts, and
Mhm.
so many of them are just like story form, right? Like, hey, and a lot of them are bigger, and they like people will submit things and stuff like that. And I was like, but really, besides like the sound effects, somebody wrote out like a short story, and you're reading it, and maybe
Yeah.
they have multiple actors. But I was like, really, that's kind of what it is. So I was like, I can do that. Maybe not as like high tech, but like I can put something together. And I was just kind of gave it a go. And I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, at least I like put it out there, and then I just became like obsessed with it and just fell in love.
That is so cool. What has been the reaction to that? Because I feel like we're moving a lot more towards audiobooks. Are people looking at it like that and loving it?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Somebody asked me about it and they're like, oh, but you have that podcast. It's like the same thing. I'm like, yeah, I kind of guess like it is. Like,
That is so
maybe
cool.
like on the back end different, but I was like, yeah, kind of in the end, it's kind of the same because that's really all I do on there. Yeah.
That is so cool. And none of them are actually physically published. Are they on blogs or anything like
Um,
that?
Life at the High, I think, is like on my Patreon, but that
Okay.
I think it was like on Kindle Velo for a while, before that shut down a few months ago. But that's it, and everything else is just on there. Like it's not anywhere else.
How interesting and cool is that? I've never thought of that. I think that's so smart and amazing. What is
Thank
your favorite thing to write? Your books or doing the podcast? Which one do you like more?
I would say my books, just because I kind of get to like stay with them longer. And my podcasts are like a few minutes each episode, like they're very short. So it's like I do it and I'm done, and I'm like, oh, it's like over. So my books, I get to like dive in for a longer time, which I enjoy.
Cool. That's so interesting. I love hearing this. It's just so interesting to me. Can you tell us about your journey for writing an entire book? What does that look like for you?
So, so at first I'll like have an idea and I'll kind of sit with it until I have like my main character, what's happening, what a big twist is, and the ending. I need like those things. After I have that like in my head, or maybe like I'll type it up on my phone so I don't forget. Then I'll switch to like my notebook and it'll get like its own notebook because I'm obsessive. And I'll do kind of like the snowflake method, if you heard of that, where you kind of start with the idea and you branch out. So I'll have like my,
Yeah.
beginning, middle, end, and then I'll say like, okay, let me kind of fill in everything that happens in between until it's like a full story. And then I move over to like typing it all up, which by that point I kind of have like a rough draft already. So it makes it easier. And then from there, it's just editing.
How does the editing part go? Have you ever taken out whole parts and redone it or, put it into a different book? How does that look for you?
So editing's the hardest for me. I just want to do it and be done.
I agree.
The editing side. So I have gotten very detailed with my outlines. And
Okay.
when I am like in that part of it is when I do a lot. Like
Oh,
really getting down to like making sure that like there's consistency with like me not switching the character name to just
oh.
like everything that happens. All of that's done before I even get into the laptop. So now it's not as bad. After that, I'm just kind of going through and like checking through everything. Then like I'll hire like a developmental editor, copy editor, and all of that. So right now it's not so much like taking out huge like chunks and everything because it's kind of already been like worked through in the beginning. But yeah, so yeah, not as bad. Like I'm honing the outlining more, so it's less of it.
That's amazing. I love hearing how different authors kind of look at the whole process of writing a book. How long did it take you to write each of your books?
I would say like several months. So it may take me like 1 to 2 months when it comes to like outlining, and then like 30 to 60 days to type it, because when I'm actually typing it, since it's pretty much done, it's not like, you know what I mean, like too hard. And then I would say like another 3 to 4 months for like me to edit all the way to my final editor.
Well, that's not bad at all. My goodness. What is the hardest part of being an author?
Um, I would say kind of like all of like trying to get people to know it exists, like all the marketing and pushing it, because it's like you do this and you want to share it with people, but you feel like, there's like a sea of other authors doing the same, and like, how do I compete with that? So I feel like that part's always hard, especially because, like, for me, like I work in marketing and I'm like, for myself, I have so many ideas and I understand how like so much of this works. But then when I have time to do it for my book, I feel guilty that I'm not writing. And
Oh,
I kind of like fight with that. And I have like all this stuff that I'm like, oh, this would be so much fun to do to promote it. But then I'm like, can I really spend 3 hours on that? Or can I spend 3 hours writing the next book? And I'm just always fighting with myself. It's a never ending battle.
I feel like that's typical for us as authors because like we always want to write as creatives, but then we have to do the marketing, and doing the marketing means we get to put out more books is the way I kind of rationalize it to
I like
myself.
that. I like that.
Right? Like if you put
Yeah,
that work in, you could put out a new book.
yes. I love that way of thinking.
Because that's really like everyone's are people shocked when you say marketing is the hardest part? Do they think like writing the book is the hardest?
I feel like a lot of other writers struggle with it too, especially because when you get into like ads and TikTok and this isn't doing well, and they're like, oh, that's like so hard. But yeah, I think some are just like, no, like writing it or editing it is hard, or but the marketing part now, I feel like everybody's kind of like, yeah, I don't know how to do this either. Like,
I agree because social media is hard. Oh my goodness. And there's so much of it.
yes,
It's literally like a whole second job. Oh my goodness.
truly.
With your novels, what is the most unhinged thing you've written into one of them?
Oh gosh. Um,
Very
okay,
interested about
I'm gonna try not to spoil it, but I will say there is a part where somebody is getting revenge and they
that.
have this person's ashes and they stick it in a flower pot and send it to the person that harmed them.
And they have no idea?
No, no,
That is
and then
revenge. That is diabolical.
if
Wow.
I thought of that scene, I just thought of like someone like doing this like randomly, and I was like, that has to go in a book. And it's so,
No, I totally agree. That is wow. That's completely
yeah,
diabolical. That is very creative too. I love
yeah.
that. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. How do you come up with your characters? You were talking about writing them out and outlining, but is it more spontaneous? Do you develop them over time?
It's weird. So when I'm coming up with a story, I feel like I come up with like the plot, and then somewhere like after I'm kind of like, okay, here's what's happening. I just the character starts kind of coming to me. I'm like, what kind of person is this happening to? And the more I think about like what happens in the story, the more I think about, well, it would be interesting if they reacted to it this way or da da da. And then that starts kind of forming like who they are, like as I think of like what happens. And then that kind of shapes them in my mind for me.
Very cool. Do you have a favorite character? Good or bad character? Either one.
Um, Bree in my first novel, The Offer, I think is my favorite, just because she is kind of like this really like silly, but also like no nonsense kind of person. And I feel like I gave her the best lines. Like she has all the funny, sarcastic lines. So yeah, I would say she's my favorite.
That's amazing. That sounds like a book I really want to go dive into. Let me see. What does being a successful writer look like for you? What does it mean that you are successful?
For me, it would just be like a really loyal readership. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like huge, like some global thing, right? But even just like a Facebook group of like 100 people that are like, I love what you do. I would be like, oh, I made it.
That sounds amazing, and it sounds like you have loyal followers already. You don't have a Facebook group yet?
I
Because it sounds like
do.
you
I have
have.
10 people in it so far. So, I'm kind of way
Really?
there.
No way! That is so cool.
Yeah.
I
So,
would say you made it just by having a Facebook group for your books. Like, that's incredible.
so that I think which is like my thing, just people that are like hungry for the next one.
That's so amazing. I love that. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Are you working on anything right now that you can tell us about?
Yes, I am working on my third novel right now. And I can tell you about it. So I'm still kind of working out like like the majority of it. But right now I know it's going to be about a couple that is at home at night and they hear someone break into their house and this woman comes upstairs and says, "You need to come with me right now." And I know that's
Oh,
the start of it. Yeah. And now I'm working out the why and what happens next. And like,
yeah. That's
yeah.
a
But I
lot of
know,
open-ended questions.
yeah, I had so and it's funny, this came to me one night when I was at home. And you know how like you're like getting ready for bed and you like hear a noise and you're like, what was that? And that whole idea, I was like, what if somebody broke in? Like, what would I do? And then I thought, well, what if they just came up and were just like, no, I was coming to get you, come with me, or something random. I was like, what would they want? What would I do? And I'm just sitting there, and my husband's like, go to bed. I'm just like, new novel.
You can't help it when you're creative. Is there any kind of like super strange or weird times or places you've gotten inspired?
Um, at Disney on my honeymoon.
I love
we
it.
I forget, but we were in line for some ride
Uh-huh.
and there was somebody that you know how they have like the little railing, like the little dividers, but it's just kind of like these metal bars that kind of go across.
Oh yeah.
Somebody was like just held their hand out, and as people walked by, their hand just kept sliding across everyone's leg. And I
Ew.
it's just
That's kind of
and me
gross.
and my husband were like the only ones to notice it. And it just gave me this idea. I was like, oh my God, what if they're like obsessed with like left legs? What if they have just a bunch of random people's left legs in their home somewhere? And this is just like that's what that made you think of.
That's
So I was like, oh my God,
crazy.
that would be a story.
That's amazing, though. I love hearing this because I feel like as creatives, we never turn it off. Like you got
Yeah,
inspired
yeah,
just
it's
going to
just
bed,
there.
and then at Disney, like that's amazing. I absolutely love it. Oh my goodness. What is your favorite thing about being an author?
Um, favorite thing? I would say really just getting to kind of like create all of these worlds. Like I'll have these ideas, like the left leg thing. And I feel like if I didn't write, it would kind of drive me crazy that, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, how
Mhm.
was that in? Or what happened? Like it stays stuck in my head until I fully finish the story and like gotten it out. So like
It's
it's
like an
just
itch you have to
yeah,
scratch, right?
yeah. So like being able to say, okay, it wasn't just an idea that keeps circling. Like I know what happened now. Like it's so satisfying.
Exactly. Like you have to put pen to paper and get it out. Otherwise, it's just going to stay in your head. Or what if you forget it? That drives me
Worst,
crazy.
the worst feeling. And then you're like, wait, but I know it was good. What was it? Yeah,
I
that is the worst
know,
feeling.
right? Like you have to get it down, whether you're at Disney or going to bed or not.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Do you like to read the same genre of book that you write?
I do. I love thriller. I also read dark romance though. Like I
Oh,
cannot write a romance scene to save my life, but
right
I love
now, never say never. Because you never know. You can get inspired, to be honest.
true.
You're on book 3. Do you have plans to write many more books, or is there like a stopping point?
So like for me, I want to just keep going as long as I live, honestly. Right now, I think like for the rest of the year, I want to just like keep writing and then kind of like publish like several next year and kind of make that my habit. I don't know how that's going to work out, but that's like my hope.
I think that's an amazing goal to have, though. And why not? You know, if you've got it there, you've got them written down, and you're writing all the time to scratch that itch, why not publish them all? I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and contact you? We have about 4 more minutes left. So, where can people contact you? The Facebook group, too. Where is that?
Yes. Um, the Facebook group, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, all at author Carmen Norris.
Amazing. Is there anything else you want to tell us about? Do you have a website?
Yeah, author Carmen Norris .mellerpage.io for my website. You can also just find my socials and go like the bio link. Also the podcasts are Bad Alibi and Good Morning Murderer. And the books are both in KU if you are a KU subscriber.
I love those covers too. Oh my goodness. And of course, your podcast, we have to definitely list that. That's amazing. And your Facebook group, is it talking about the books? Do you guys meet at all to talk? How does that work?
Yeah, right now it's just me posting, just kind of talking about the books, like whatever else like I'm up to and like how writing's going. So just kind of keeping people updated with all of that. I just have fun posting in there.
I love it. I can't wait to see that grow after this. And I definitely can't wait to read your books and see everything else that you publish. I'm going to look at your podcast. That sounds so cool and kind of something I might take an idea from the dudes. That's incredible. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about that you're working on? Any other thoughts before we sign off?
That is everything. Just thank you guys for checking this out.
Thank you so much, author Carmen Norris. You are amazing. Oh my goodness. Podcast is my favorite thing. Your
Yeah.
podcast is my favorite thing. And I love the fact that you write in the genre you do, because that's kind of inspiring me. I've thought about doing that. That's what I love to read. And I'm like, why don't I write like that? So very interesting. And I love the fact that you write that and kind of lose yourself in those characters. That is ridiculously cool. Thank you so much again, author Carmen Norris.
Thank you.